Hi, welcome to another episode of the Alan Rosenberg Show. It's the end of March, and you know what that means. It's time to do from backlog to catalog. This is the video series where I show what albums officially make it into my collection, into the database, and onto the shelves. Some of these are recent purchases or gifts. Some of them have been in my backlog for a long time. So eventually I hear them enough and decide if I'm going to keep them or not. These are the keepers. These are the ones that make it into the database. Let's start with the big one. I got about 18 I'm going to show you that have graduated this month. This is the biggie. Wishbone Ash Living Proof Live Recordings 1976 to 1980. There is a full unboxing discussion of this box set. I did the video about a month ago, so you could see that right there, Living Proof box set, unboxing and talking about it. This Wishbone Ash is vinyl. There are 5 shows documented on here. Each show is 2 vinyl albums. This is the Mach 2 era, the Laurie Wisefield era, which I think is incredible. Tokyo 76, Edinburgh 76, London 77, Bournemouth 78, and Guildford 1980. This is prime live Wishbone Ash on vinyl. I got it for a good deal. The price on this fluctuates on Amazon greatly. It could be a lot of money, and then it can go like $300, and then it can go to like $100. So it's all about the timing. 4 out of the 5 shows were on CD on my Vintage Years Wishbone Ash box set. There's a new one on there, the Tokyo. But this is a great purchase. I've been talking to some of the viewers on this channel privately about Wishbone Ash, and if you don't want to shell out for that, you know it's a really good Wishbone Ash live album to get because they are great live. The Laurie Wisefield era is really great live. And there's an album out there called Wishbone Ash Live Rock Palace 1976 from Germany. It's from the New England tour. That tour is documented on here, but a different show. That Rock Palace show is amazing, and you get 2 CDs and a DVD. It's phenomenal. So that's a good place for you to start. All right, let's keep going. This was a gift I got a long time ago. Richard Hawley, the very best of Richard Hawley now then. It took me a long time to go through this because, as you know, stuff don't make it into my catalog until I know it. And I listened to this thing a lot. It is 2 CDs fully loaded. These are like 78 minutes, give or take, each CD. 16 songs on each. And this is a guy I really like. Thank you for that gift. I've talked about this one before as well. He's interesting. I didn't know of him. I knew his name. I thought he was in Suede or was a Pulp, actually. But apparently he's a very successful artist overseas. Here in America, nobody's ever heard of him. I never really heard of him. And it was given to me as a gift, and I really like it. He's got an interesting voice, interesting textures. His style is like all over the place, but some of this stuff could be almost like standards, like Frank Sinatra could sing it or Tony Bennett or something like that. But some of it is almost psychedelic rock, some of it is more acoustic. He's all over the place, but his production is awesome. I love his productions. I don't know if he's a producer. Haven't really done much research on him, but if he really could be a producer. He's got a wide soundscape. And I really like it, almost movie-like. Couple of tracks on there. Certainly, that Don't Stare at the Sun, the first song on side 2, disc 2 is amazing. Born Under a Bad Sign is amazing. The Ocean is... I've grown to really like every song. It's a lot on here. I pretty much pick a CD and listen to it from beginning to end. I really can't get through both. It's just a lot of material. But he's really good. And I'm thrilled to have it. So thanks for turning me on to Richard Hawley. That was a really good one. Here's one that's been in the backlog for a long time. Eddie Jobson. It's called 1971 to 1979, the band years. He put these out, I guess. He's got a whole series of them. It's got a nice booklet in here. And basically, it's interesting. He's got solo stuff. He's got stuff he did with Brian Ferry. He's got stuff that he did with Roxy Music. And the best stuff is right there. It starts at track 11 on disc 1 and then goes through disc 2. That's his work with UK. And that's, I think, the best stuff on here. I have the UK albums, but it's nice to have it on here, a mixture of the 2 albums that they did. Overall, it's a decent CD. I don't think it's phenomenal, but I'm glad I have it. especially if I feel like hearing a mixture of UK stuff, the band UK. So Eddie Jobson right there. What else am I going to show you? And this was a great one. I'm a really big fan of a band called Nectar. You may not know them. If you don't know Nectar, you need to discover them. The album Remember the Future is one of my favorite albums of all time. But this was a really cool find, and it's called Retrospective, Nectar, 1969 to 1980. This is a big box set. It's thick. And you got 2 full CDs, and you get a wonderful selection from their albums, the classic albums, Journey to the Center of the Eye, Tab in the Ocean, Sounds Like This, Remember the Future, Down to Earth, Recycled, even something from Magic as a Child that Roy wasn't on, and even stuff from Man in the Moon. So it's a great selection of stuff, but the great thing about this is that it sounds great. The problem with Nectar is not all of their remasters or CDs out there sound good. Apparently, sometimes they use wrong mixes. But you get a huge booklet in here. I mean, huge. Look at the size of this booklet. It's awesome. Pictures, their whole history, tour posters, everything about each album. It mentions about the different mixes as well. I don't think they've ever sounded as good as on this compilation. Even comes with a little button. How cool is this? So I don't know if this thing is still out there. And then each disc looks like this. Like that. But they absolutely sound amazing. I had this thing cranking on my stereo. And just made me re-fall in love with Nectar. Not that I needed it because I already love Nectar. But man, and here it comes with a poster. So I don't know if this is out there. It's called Nectar Retrospective, and I only got it for $10, but not online. I found this at a record store. So I don't know if it's out there, but if you see it out there, highly recommended. The best compilation that I have of Nectar for sure, and I have a bunch. So that was great. Let's keep going. How about this one? I got this one pretty recently. Kiss. I'm not a huge Kiss fan, but it's surprisingly I have a lot of their albums. Certainly all their classics. And I found this at a used record store for $1. Go figure. This is the deluxe edition of Love Gun, and this was clearly mispriced or something. It was like a warehouse record store type place. And looks like that. And basically you get the original album, and then you get the demos and an interview and some live tracks on disc 2. Comes with a really nice booklet as well. It looks like that. And it's really thick. It goes all the way through the history of this album, tour shots, and all of that good stuff. And you know what else it has, which is kind of interesting? It's got a Love Gun magnet. How cool is that? So if you like Kiss, you probably like Love Gun. It's a classic. Now, of course, I had the album as part of the remastered series that they had done, but I'm always up for an upgrade, especially when it cost me like $1. So I did get the, let's just call it a deluxe edition of Love Gun. And that will replace that the remastered series, because I no longer really need that, I guess, obviously. All right, let's move that over. Let's keep going. About a week ago, I did a big review of the new Tull album, Curious Ruminant. You could check this out. It's only a week ago. It's on my playlist. And I did a song-by-song, full-length, in-depth analysis of the album. So check that out. Jethro Tull and Curious Ruminant. Let's keep going, shall we? I'll make some room. Okay. This was a good one. I got this as a gift. I happened to see this show, well, not this very show, Al Stewart and the Empty Pockets live. And when I saw this concert, I was blown away how great he was. I thought the Empty Pockets were great. They actually did some of their own tracks as well, but they were, I thought, a great band for Al Stewart. Some people didn't totally agree. They would say back in the 70s, you know, when he was at his peak, was a different band, but he's not in the 1970s. This is now. and I thought they were great. He also did a great set list, and he told great stories, and it's all on this 2 CD set that I got. So I was thrilled to have it and kind of relive that concert, which I thought was a great, great concert. This was a gift I got pretty recently. I went right to it because I was so pumped. This is Status Quo, and this is called Acoustic Stripped Bare. And Quo Classics, as you've never heard them before. Fully loaded disc. This thing's got 24 tracks on it, and I was pumped to hear about it because I had read about this in Classic Rock magazine when it came out, and I really like Status Quo. And I'm like, I love unplugged albums, especially when they're live. And I thought, I actually thought this was live. It's not live. But I love that it opens up with pictures of Matchstick Men, pretty much the only hit they ever really had in America. But it's just great song after great song, and the songs work really, really well acoustic. I think it would have been really cool if it was live, but it's fine. It's great for what it is. It is a really great Status Quo album, highly recommended, and I really liked it. Speaking of gifts, the same person sent me this one. It was Perry, and he sent me The Who with Orchestra live at Wembley. Now, this album, I am a Who completist, but, well, pretty much anyway. I didn't buy this, and I really wanted it, and I guess he realized that maybe I had talked about it. I didn't buy it because it's 2 CDs and a Blu-ray, but the Blu-ray was only music, and when it came out, a lot of people bought it and were really pissed off because they assumed, like I would have, that the Blu-ray was visual. You got to figure the show was filmed at some point, but it's just a surround sound mix on the Blu-ray, as well as a high PCM stereo. So a lot of people were upset, and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to buy it. I'll hold off, and I just never bought it. I saw this show, and I thought it was amazing. The idea of the Who with an orchestra was an interesting concept, and I thought it really worked. I really loved the show, especially the Quadrophenia stuff. So it was great to have it. Again, there's these 2 CDs and the Blu-ray, and you can see a lot of the Quadrophenia stuff is right there on disc 2, The Real Me, I'm One, The Punk and the Godfather, 515 Drown, The Rock's amazing, Love Rain on Me. That is definitely the highlight as I remembered it, and it's still the highlight. Some of it really doesn't work that well. It's great live seeing it. I think that they should have done a video on the Blu-ray. I don't know why they didn't. I can't imagine in today's world it wasn't filmed. Just doesn't make any sense. I think it works better visually than just listening to it. Some of the Who stuff is interesting, but, better to watch it. I will tell you that Imagine a Man was really, really great. Imagine a Man is kind of a deep cut from Who by Numbers. That's a great one. And really cool to hear that live. Speaking of live, I picked up recently Stage Fright, the 50th anniversary. You may have saw this in a haul video recently. And I picked this up. I already have Stage Fright, of course, and I had the remastered version. But this version is really cool. Disc 1 is the album, but apparently when they released the album, they wanted it in this playing order, but they didn't release it in this playing order. So now they re-released it in the order that they originally wanted. And it's a little bit jarring if you know the album as well as I do, but it works really, really well. You get some really cool bonus tracks, including some like hotel recording rehearsals, which was really cool. But the highlight of this, and really the main reason why I bought it, is Disc 2 is live at the Royal Albert Hall, June 1971. You get 20 tracks there in 80 minutes. There's like no talking, boom, boom, boom. And I love it. It really is special. My favorite band live stuff is The Last Waltz. I think Last Waltz is one of my favorite albums of all time. But this one is a superb performance. A lot of people think Rock of Ages is their best live album. I really love it. I have the deluxe edition. It's got the Bob Dylan stuff on it. It wasn't previously on it. But there's a lot of horns on there. Alan Toussaint had done the production on there and added a lot of horns. And it's interesting textures. But this one from the Royal Albert Hall 1971, there's no horns. It's just the band. And they are such an incredible band, music-wise. They switch off interest and they don't need all of those horns. And it's really nice to hear Prime Band without the horns, just hearing them rock out. And if you like the band and you want to hear that, this is a great place to go Stage Fright, the 50th anniversary with that great live stuff. Okay, speaking of classic live albums, how about this one? Matter of fact, he's up to get into the Hall of Fame this year. We'll see if he gets in. Joe Cocker and the legendary 70s live album Mad Dogs and Englishmen. This is the deluxe edition. Now, I've had the original album, and I even have the Laserdisc of the movie. For decades, I've had it. This is the original album. And I call these upgrades. They released it as a 2-disc deluxe edition with a ton of stuff that's not on the original release. So here's the deluxe edition. Here's the, how to do this. There's the original release, and maybe you can compare it. There you go. So the deluxe edition's got a ton of additional stuff on there. They also reconfigure the order to match the concert. And yeah, it works really great. So thrilled to have Mad Dogs and Englishmen, the deluxe edition. I am actually going to keep the original edition because there's a lot on here, and sometimes less is more, but it's cool to have. So really nice to have that Mad Dogs and Englishmen, the super deluxe edition. Got that. What else did I get? A bunch of the other stuff I listened to. This is Olivia Newton-John. You know I'm a big fan of hers. This is not one that you need. This is called Warm and Tender. And this was one that Olivia put out. They're pretty much lullabies, really pretty stuff. And the idea of it is more like, you know, to play for your little kids, you know, they go to sleep or to relax them. And it works really well. It's actually a decent listen, even for an adult. There's some really nice tracks on here. But it's not an album that I would listen to a lot. But one day, whenever that is, maybe I'll have grandkids, and that would be one that I would play for them. Now, a different one is this soundtrack. This is England, original motion picture soundtrack. This is a pretty recent purchase. I thought this was an incredible movie, really powerful movie, and the soundtrack is really cool. It's I love soundtracks that, you know, are like this, where they take great old songs. Some are deeper than others. Some are pretty much unknown. Some are like Percy Sledge's Dog End of the Street, one of my favorite songs of all time. And you also mix in dialogue from the movie. This is a really cool soundtrack. If you're into movie soundtracks, that's a good one. How about this one? One of my all-time favorite songs, but I only had it on 45, and I still do, is Petula Clark, Downtown. I remember that when I was a kid, and it's just one of those songs I never got tired of playing. It had that big sound. It sounded like a Phil Spector kind of a song. And then I found this CD for like $1. Downtown, the greatest hits of Petula Clark. It's got Downtown, and I Know a Place, and My Love, Color My World, not the Chicago song. Really good to have. It's pretty short at 12 tracks, and it's more than I need. I got to say, later on in her career, she gets a little schmaltzy. So less more for me, for her, but I'm glad I have that. I did pick up 2 Herbie Hancock albums. I've been getting more and more into jazz. This is a well-known one called River, the Joni Letters. And he actually won the Grammy for Best Album of the Year for this. I don't think it's that good, but some really great covers of Joni Mitchell songs. Norah Jones is on here. Tina Turner does a cool version of Edith and the Kingpin. Even Joni's on here at some point. Really good. I like it a lot. And then I also got a different Herbie Hancock album, kind of similar. It's called The New Standard, and basically I seem to have an affinity for these jazz albums that are made up of like popular songs, rock tracks, and things like that, but they do jazzy versions on them. So I kind of know them. They have good melodies. It's not overly dissonant. They're easy listening, but it's still jazz. And this was a good one from Herbie Hancock. Again, it's called The New Standard, and does some really cool tracks on there, and I played it as soon as I got it, and many times, and I really enjoyed it. Kind of chills me out, man. It's good for my blood pressure, I figure. And let me show you 2 more. This is one that barely made the cut, a bootleg from the Stones. I'm a huge fan of bootlegs, and I have hundreds of Stones albums, over 400. This one's called Voodoo Clubbing, the Club Gig, Toronto, 1994. These are special kind of shows that the Stones do when they're on tour. They're about to start a tour and they play a club. And they wound up playing really cool songs that they unfortunately don't play too much in the show. So if you want to hear No expectations, for instance, right there. You'd have to hear it in this club because they really didn't ever play it again on the tour. And even things like Love is Strong and some of these other songs only made the occasional appearance. So, great set list. The Stones sound great if you could hear them. It's not a particularly good recorded show. It's definitely handheld and it gets really muddy. But I was debating, should I keep it, should I not? And I'm going to keep it, but it's not the best. And that's everything except one more thing. So, I always listen to you guys, and when I go out hunting, if I find your recommendations, I buy them. And at some point, somebody made a comment, man, you live in New York and the tri-state area. How do you not like the Strokes? And I was like, that the Strokes to me at that time, they were just so much hype. And I heard a bunch of their songs, and everybody gave that album 5 stars, and it's revolutionary. And I'm like, I don't know. To me, it was like subpar television music, the band Television. I just didn't. It was good. I just didn't think it was anything special. People were giving it like 5 stars. So I'm like, I don't get it. So anyway, I didn't buy it back in the day. And then, of course, in the United States, they banned the original cover. So anyway, I was out and about, and I saw the Strokes' Is This It? And the cover's amazing. I love this cover. This is not the U.S. cover. This is actually the cover of the release from Australia. And yeah, I found this in a record store here on Long Island for $2.99, the Australian version of Is This It? And in fact, it's got the song New York City Cops is on here. And that was not released on the American version because of after 9/11. So I did pick up the Strokes album. You guys put a lot of pressure on me. Said, how do you not have it? So I got it. And I got to be honest with you. I listened to it twice, and I'm like, yeah, it's all right. It's not bad. I just don't think it's anywhere near a 5-star album. I think a lot of hype in this band. They do remind me of the band Television, but not nearly as good in my opinion. But I'll keep listening to it. I'll wind up keeping it because I would only buy this cover, and it's really hard to find this cover. Certainly at a good price, so I lucked into that. So that's the other one. So there you go, folks. My haul from Backlog to Catalog for the month of March. A lot of stuff. I think there's about 18, 19, 20 albums here, something like that. So it's been a good month. I've been getting some new stuff, some gifts, and finally getting into some of the Backlog as well, which feels really good. So let me know what you think. As always, I really appreciate you watching. If you're new to my channel, hit subscribe. Check out the playlist, man. There's so many videos here. Over 400 videos to dig in. 446, I'm looking. So a lot to dig in. As always, thank you so much again. I will see you next time on the Alan Rosenberg Show.